And over the years, citizens' trust in political office holders with regards to fulfillment in campaign promises has dwindled. But some governors are gradually restoring the confidence of the people in the government in the face of economic hardship. Governor Uba Sani has launched the second batch of palliative distribution worth 11.4 billion naira to residents. And at the launch of the program in Kaduna, Governor Sani also announced grants for 7,500 micro, small and medium enterprises, as well as a 3.3 billion naira for payment of pensions and gratuities. Let's share the story by our correspondent, Lupe Asom, with you.
Despite the challenges, Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani has remained steadfast in his development agenda, demonstrating that progress will not be impeded by adversity. His administration has spent 11.4 billion naira on the second batch of palliatives. The commencement of this palliative distribution signifies a comprehensive approach to tackling poverty at its core. Government officials, politicians, religious leaders all converged on Murtala Square to witness the distribution.
Our administration has identified poverty reduction in rural areas as key to unlocking the enormous potential of Kaduna State. We are equally determined to reach the urban poor and assist them to escape extreme poverty. We are also focusing on the revival and boosting of small businesses through the provision of financial support and improving ease of doing business.
The initiative aims to support the poor, vulnerable and underserved within the state, extending its support to small businesses.
What I've benefited, even for the peace now, is something. And we are looking up unto him for good things, good tidings, which we have seen on ground. And we know he will make us proud.
A high-powered palliative distribution committee, comprising representatives from various sectors, ensured transparency and fairness in the distribution process.
You have opened a new page of relationship with us, and that we are consolidating and will certainly make it work for the benefit of the generality of the people of Kaduna State.
To me, this is the second time you have been saving people. I remember the school fees was hijacked in Kasu. You reduced the fees and were able to pay and then continue with the education. We thank you very much. You are now feeding people at the very important time of Ramadan. Only God knows which reward you will get for this effort.
The governor believes various interventions, from cash grants to smallholder farmers to aid for micro-enterprises, will have a positive impact on vulnerable individuals. The release of pension and gratuity for retired civil servants and their families aims to provide the much-needed relief.
The sum of 4.2 billion has been earmarked for distribution of cash, grants, fertilizer, farm inputs and implements to vulnerable households, smallholder farmers, micro, small and medium enterprises, persons with disability, internally displaced persons, IDPs, orphans, market women and youths. 3.3 billion has been released for payment of pension and gratuities, as well as death benefits to families of deceased civil servants. Beneficiaries have started receiving alerts. The total number of beneficiaries stands at 1,338.
And his last place of assignment was Tonje LEA before his death. Yes, he died in service. I want to appreciate the government for this very nice gesture. This money actually comes at the perfect moment. In fact, we've been pursuing this for quite some years now, so I feel it comes at a very nice time. So I want to say thank you to Kaduna State Government.
The government's initiative providing revolving loans aims to empower entrepreneurs, driving the growth of small businesses and revitalizing the economy.
We have commenced the release of grants to 7,500 micro, small and medium enterprises. The micro and medium small enterprises are getting between 100,000 and 500,000 up to 1 million, depending on the size of the enterprises.
Executive orders promoting financial inclusion will enable millions to access banking services, breaking the cycle of exclusion. 128 trucks loaded with rice and maize will be distributed to provide hope for over 1 million citizens. Fertilizers, tractors and various other forms of assistance tailored for smallholder farmers are also set to be given out.
We are commencing the distribution of 128 trucks of rice and maize worth 3.4 billion to the poor, vulnerable and underserved citizens of Kaduna State. We are targeting 200,000 households, approximately about 1 million persons.
Key figures at the launch commended the governor for the effort.
We are solid behind you, we will continue to support you, and we are calling on our people to see reasons and support the government of the day and what the government is doing so that we can succeed in our state, especially at this trying moment when we're having a lot of security challenges.
And I'm very proud of him as a friend. I'm proud of him as a politician. We've been together for many, many years. And I have no doubt that as long as he continues the way he's going, he shall go even further in this country. Proud of you. Well done, my brother. God be with you.
Governor Sani also addressed the ongoing insecurity challenges, emphasizing the government's commitments to overcoming them.
As you are aware, in the last 2-3 weeks, we had a series of meetings between governors and Mr. President. Only a few days ago, we had a meeting with the NSA and the service chiefs. All of us are working to see that we reposition the security architecture of Nigeria. As it is today, it's not working, and we need to do something about it. And of course, it's not only Kaduna State, every state in Nigeria is not safe.
Despite the prevailing security challenges, Governor Sani says he's determined to empower more residents. He assures that the third phase of the distribution will come up in 2 months. Lupe Asom, TVC News, Kaduna.
Right, PKO, we just heard the report by our correspondent. 11.4 billion naira palliative distribution from the governor of Kaduna State. What do you make of this?
Well, I'm really impressed. And you see, I'm happy with what looks like a competition going on between these governors. Because we challenged them, we said, they are not doing anything. And they told us, Kaduna will never do any palliative, that the money that was meant for it, a bank has taken it and all that. Is that Governor Uba Sani will not do palliative? Somebody told me, you see, he will not do. I challenge you to investigate why Uba Sani will not do palliative. But look at the way he has done his own. Look at what he has set aside for his own. 11.4 billion in a manner that cuts across. Some are doing palliative, simply distributing grains to the vulnerable in our society. I do not have any quarrel with that. But see the extent to which
He's gone.
This governor has gone. He's trying to touch every corner. He's trying to make sure that he doesn't leave any vulnerable soul behind. And when we talk about vulnerable people, you can see that children of deceased public servants also served their country, died on duty. They've been accommodated in this scheme. It's a very big, a very elaborate one. The government is going to spend 11.4 billion. And the next phase is going to happen within the next 2 months. Now, 128 trucks of rice and maize. There are governors who have not distributed a single grain of rice that we know. We just choose to leave them to their conscience. But one person has already delivered 128 trucks of rice and maize, valued at 3.4 billion to 200,000 households. Each, the people, approximately 1 million people will benefit from this. Then 4.2 billion in form of cash grants to vulnerable groups, MSMEs, PWDs, IDPs, orphans, market women, and youths. And then grants for farmers to have access to fertilizers and implements for their farming. It's also releasing 3.3 billion for pensions, gratuities, and debt benefits, in which 1,330 beneficiaries are already receiving alerts. One of the first things that Governor Uba Sani did was to address the issue of pensions. One of the first things. It shows that he has empathy for people who have served their country, who have served their state, and they are in old age. They are vulnerable, they can't walk at this point. One of the first things he did, because he said during an interview with him that first month in office, they had to borrow money. But because of the removal of subsidy, states now get a lot more. From the bigger chunk of money coming to them, the first thing the governor did was to address the matter of payment of these pensioners. And they had backlog that he had to deal with. Then 7,500 MSMEs we get funding ranging from 100,000 to 1 million based on enterprise size. Of course, opening 2.5 million bank account for Kaduna's needy with 2 million accounts already active and 500,000 more. Progress being made in terms of 500,000 more. Creating a social register for cash transfers, an effective social protection measure. You mean it's just impressive what we have seen. The event of the last 48 hours, people will not feel it until even months after, when you realize the impact that these interventions have had on your life. We are not saying that, look, this thing should be permanent. Oh, this will solve all problems.
Just about getting there.
But we are saying that let's start from somewhere.
Right.
We have the capacity to help to a large extent. But what are we doing? A lot of the governors don't think that it makes any sense. But here is someone that they've seen what he has done. They should now take it a step further. And that's why I was talking about the governor of Ekiti State the other day, who released 300 million to local councils and said, buy grains for our people, because the local councils are closer to the grassroots.
Right.
So it's not, and that same governor has gone ahead, the Ekiti governor has gone ahead now to increase the subvention of tertiary institutions, the judiciary, and others. You can't earn a lot more and not allow us to see what you are doing with it. It can't be business as usual anymore. Right. You have enough funds to play with. You have enough funds to make a lasting impression on the lives of our people. And that's what Governor Uba Sani is doing. Distributing fertilizers and farm inputs such as tractors, grinding machines to 5,091 farmers. We saw those tractors. I like the fact that the desire to defeat food insecurity is now pushing us to take farming seriously. Look at what the Niger governor is doing. That is the way to go. We should be able to feed our population. How come India, the most populated country in the world currently, they've overtaken China, how come they are able to feed their people? We still import rice from India, despite their huge population. We cannot even feed our people. We can't produce enough rice to feed our people. And we have the capacity to grow rice at least twice a year in most parts of our country.
Right.
Now, as I wind up, launching the 500 million revolving loan scheme for civil servants. You know, the NLC asked that the president should extend this conditional cash transfer for vulnerable people to civil servants. Because some civil servants, what they earn is peanuts. Right. I know that it's difficult to implement that for the entire federal, but now you can see what this governor is doing. He knows that there are some civil servants that need to be helped in these difficult times when food prices are hitting the roof.
Right.
Now, he's taking steps to create a revolving loan scheme for such category of civil servants. We are not talking about level 17, level 14. The poor will always be in our midst. Let's not deceive ourselves. Everybody cannot be comfortable.
True.
But it is incumbent on us to assist people who are struggling, to lift them up. That is what Governor Uba Sani has done. And at this stage, we can only challenge other governors to match or even exceed what Uba Sani has done, because when I saw what the Ogun State governor did, that one about 5 billion or so, I said, this governor has done so well. But Uba Sani has shocked me with 11.4 billion.
Mayor Akimpelu, now with this will I say, surpassation from the Kaduna State government in terms of alleviating the suffering of the vulnerables in society, some would ask, is this sustainable? You know, even if it's taking a step further to help people who are, you know, below the belt of the economy, how can we ensure that this doesn't just look like a one-off thing, but people are able to stand on their feet when this palliative measures is being, you know,
yes, of course it's sustainable. It's sustainable because, like I said, there is an increase in the amount because of the removal of petroleum subsidy. There is a serious increase in the revenue accruing to all the tiers of government.
Right.
And some of them are earning twice, thrice what they used to collect. So it is sustainable. What is just is for the will of these political leaders to think about their people.
Right.
You know, that's what is important because the fund is there. The fund was not settled there, but it's there now. So if they can do that, why I'm happy with what Governor Uba Sani has done is that I remember that on this program, maybe the last time was that we discussed about how Zulum was doing so much in a state that has security challenges.
Yeah.
And then we now challenge that other governors should emulate Zulum and do things like that. And Uba has taken up that challenge and has done well. But what I want to advise is that I like you said, I like that it was across board, but it must sustain it because the poverty that pervading the land is not going soon.
Absolutely.
So we must continue to look at ways of alleviating the suffering of the people. So it must sustain it. And then we want to appeal to other governors to do that. It's not that governors should collect the increased amount of money and only be interested in security votes and things that they do. The people must feel the impact of the fact that there's an increase in revenue in what they're doing because they're putting so much pressure on the federal government. Everybody is shouting federal government. Everybody is complaining. I know that things are difficult. Yes, but the states, we should also call our governors to ask them to do more for the people. Right. So if the governors and local government can do more based on the increase in revenue that they have, then we'll be able to, yes, we cannot solve all the problem at once, but we'll be able to alleviate it to a state that people will feel the impact that government is doing something to better their lives.
And in terms of doing something, some would say, you know, it's one thing for the government to do this, but it's another thing for the government to create an enabling platform, you know, where people can thrive. We've seen where the Kaduna State governor has distributed tractors to ensure that people farm, you know, produce for themselves. And Babajide also rightly said that we should be able to produce for our country. We have the capacity, we have all that it takes. But how are we able to show that these machineries or whatsoever gets to those who need it? Because we know in the issue of politics, we have people who, okay,
I agree.
You're my faithful, we're in this party, we know how we can take care of ourselves. How do we ensure that these things get to those who need it and everybody gets to benefit from this program?
You see, getting to those who need it is not the problem. You understand? In a state and local governments, it is easier to identify the needy within a particular community.
Right.
It's just for the government to be serious with what they are doing and then to have the will to be able to touch as many people as possible. You understand what I'm saying? So that's not the issue. But the problem is that I have to come back to the issue of security. Government has to take the issue of security more seriously. Because, for example, in a state of like Kaduna, recently they've been having a lot of security challenges. And that will affect a lot of things. I know that our security personnel are doing their best. Yeah. Yes, but because they are overstretched, really. But we have to continue to appeal to them to do more. Right. There is need to solve that security issue in Kaduna because when you do the kind of things that they are doing now and the people are not safe, you understand? Security is number one. That you want to alleviate poverty or you want to give them grains. If they kidnap them the following day and they need to now start paying ransom, that would defeat the purpose. So the government and the security forces should put more effort in trying to solve the security problem in that area.
And we'll get to that security issue much later in the course of the program, but we still have to discuss other issues on Journalist Hangout.